Hi. Here's a paradox about energy. It's everywhere and it makes up everything in the world, and yet everyone seems to be lacking in this precious resource. Most people would pay a lot to increase their energy level and to feel more energetic, at least in this busy, stressful, and crazy modern world of ours. So, what is the problem here? How can we be deficient in something we're made up of? Here's the problem. Almost all your energy is spent on one thing only, and that thing is your ego, or your sense of self. The famous Carlos Castaneda says that 90% of our energy goes to maintain and defend this sense of self we've created along the years. Basically, all the energy of yours is invested to support your personal story, the role you've built to be seen and operate in this world. And this means we have nothing left for any energy work or an inner growth. By the way, this is the Matthew effect in action. Check out my video on the topic to learn more about this crucial energy principle. First, let's have a look at this ego thing, and then I'll point out 3 basic ways you use to feed your ego with your precious energy. The concept of ego can mean different things, but here it refers to this mental construction based on your attachment to your beliefs and personal story about who you are. For the Taoists and many others, this ego doesn't even have any real substance, and that's why we work so hard to affirm its existence and have its reality validated by other people. And the more you invest in this role you're playing, and the more seriously you take it, the more energy it will need. Of course, most people don't feel its burden, its weight, because they completely identify with it. But it is a burden to bear, with all its accumulated stress, fear, guilt, resentment, and so on. Maybe you can feel it in the morning, a couple of seconds after you wake up, when you try to find your bearings, and you suddenly remember who you are and the things you have to do. This process is like pressing the restart button on the computer. You are reloading your ego. Here I want to focus on 3 aspects of this mechanism that are particularly energy intensive. Actually, there are 3 main characteristics of the egoic mind according to Eckhart Tolle: attachment, judgment, and resistance. Attachment is the core, the essence of this mechanism. To be honest, everyone needs an ego or personality to function on this planet. But the problem arises, if you will, when you become too attached to this mechanism, to that story. In fact, you're so attached to it that you come to completely identify with it. And from here, you can't help but invest all your energy in it because you think that thing is you. And it only makes sense that you'll do anything to protect and promote it and to fight for it. And this image, this facade, this coherent front you're constantly showing is extremely energy intensive. But who cares about what people think about you? Next, you've got judgment. This happens when you have some deep beliefs, engage everything, yourself included, according to these beliefs. This creates a constant state of war within yourself, and it takes a huge amount of time, effort, and energy. I've heard somewhere that more than 60% of our thoughts are judgments, except if you're a parent. If you're a parent, it's 80%. The worst case is perfectionism, which means everything must correspond to some high standards. And when it doesn't, you start to worry, resist, and fight. Which brings me to my 3rd energy eater, which is resistance. By nature, energy has to flow. But when you push and refuse things in your life, you block that flow and you cut yourself from that energy source. When you go against the flow of life, your body enters a state of contraction, and this drains and depletes your energy like crazy. Your life becomes a fight, and that's pretty sad, isn't it? Oops, I've just made a judgment here. So, to sum up, why does maintaining a strong ego so depleting? Well, it's because it contracts your inner energy and creates a tension in your body. Fun fact here, contracting movements can either come from pulling or pushing. The pull is the desire or crave, and the push is the refusal or resistance. Anyway, this contraction blocks the natural flow of energy, and also demands a constant effort. And in the end of the day, that energy spending is not even gratifying, right? Everything we do either strengthens or weakens our inner energy. Think about it for a minute. Which actions do you do on a regular basis that reinforces your inner energy? Can you name at least one? So, no wonder your energy is so low, right? And that's why every path of initiation leads to a diminution of the ego in the end. Thank you for your presence, and see you soon.